toxic masculinity.
Federal Reserve Bank is now dangerously partisan.
Partisan. Yeah. Okay. So I do apologize. There are two not very sexy stories in a row, but again, critical story, very important story. GOP senator initiates review of San Francisco Fed's climate change and race-related research. So the Fed in San Francisco has been getting to social issues. They are very, very clearly mandated to be nonpartisan, and yet they're doing all this partisan social politics stuff now, which is very dangerous. Very dangerous. We should probably get rid of the Fed, really. But the Fed cannot be a partisan institution, and it's becoming this. Okay, Republican Pennsylvania Senator Pat Toomey initiated a review Monday of the Federal Reserve's alarming mission creep into environmental and social justice issues. Toomey, who's the ranking member on the Senate... Do I have this open? Yes, I do. Okay. The Senate Banking Committee wrote a letter to the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco, their president, Mary Daly, expressing concern the bank was pivoting to politically charged research related to environmental, social, and governmental topics. The Federal Reserve's congressionally approved responsibilities do not include such topics, Toomey said. Federal Reserve banks including the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco, have increasingly been engaged in such research on social policy topics, reflective of the political and normative leanings of unelected Federal Reserve Bank officials. Basically, he's saying the Federal Reserve Bank officials are all Democrats, and so they're engaging in research on issues that are politically left because they're Democrats, which they shouldn't be doing. Toomey wrote, this approach has inserted the Federal Reserve into the emotionally charged political arena, a place where the Federal Reserve seldom has ventured, and for good reason. Toomey requested several documents from the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco, including records of its planning for April climate seminars that it's hosting, according to the letter. He also requested memos and emails dating back to July 2019 that mentioned the Federal Reserve Bank's of San Francisco's focus on climate change and racial justice issues. I love that. I love that there are people out there that work for the federal government, that are representing us, the people, who are keeping an eye on this crap, because this is actually terrible. This is actually terrible. The Federal Reserve Bank should not be a partisan institution. It needs to be neutral. But this is becoming very difficult to do in the current political climate. All right. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell has previously insisted that I'm going to stop reading the article because I want to say this, because this is really the reason why I started reading this article. I'm a little bit concerned that banks and interested parties that may be foreign or just powerful people generally are starting to have way too much control in America, because they chose Biden and Kamala Harris to run the country. Biden and Kamala Harris are not equipped to run the country. Neither of them have the capacity to run this country. Okay. They're both morons. I'm sorry. Joe Biden is a moron. Kamala Harris is a moron. All right. Even before Joe Biden lost his mind and he started becoming senile, he was already a moron. Kamala Harris got into politics by sleeping with the mayor of San Francisco. That's how she got into politics. Look it up. It's ridiculous. She got into politics.
She was like 20 years old and he was like 60.
Yeah. He was like 30 years older than her or something. She starts sleeping with this guy. And he gets her all these positions in government, these jobs where she doesn't have to work, and she just makes a bunch of money, right? And then he starts to promote her, politically, and she moves on up. What's the guy's name?
Which one?
The guy that she was sleeping with to get.
I don't remember, but I know he was black.
Yeah, something brown.
Yeah.
Yeah. His
last name was Brown.
Yeah. I forget his first name.
I had the same last name in mind.
I forget his first name. Anyway, but anyway, so she's sleeping with this guy, mayor of San Francisco. She gets into office that way, and Democrats are like, "Oh, she's the one we need as our vice president, the first female president, inevitably, because Joe Biden's going to end up failing soon. So the thing is, everybody thinks Joe Biden's going to leave soon, and I agree. He probably will have to.
You mean?
No, I don't think he's going to die, but that's not what people are saying. People aren't saying he's going to die. People are thinking he's just going to become so inept that he's going to have to step down. But he could die. That could actually happen. And he could be so inept that he can't even function. And in that case, he'd have to step down. But unless either one of those...
No. In this case,
yeah,
they will say there is an extremely dangerous strain of COVID-19. We're all going to the basement. And
yeah,
he's just still going to be a president, but...
Yeah. Willie Brown.
Willie Brown.
Willie Brown. But look, unless he becomes completely incapacitated or unless he's unable to actually, unless he dies, I don't think Kamala Harris is going to be put in office. And the reason is because it doesn't really matter how effective of a president he is. That doesn't matter. They want a guy that's malleable. And in fact, the less cognitive he is about what's going on, the better for the Democrats. Because these powerful people that are controlling Joe Biden right now, they need him not to interfere with what they're doing. They need him just to be compliant and to go along. Mm-hmm. And that's why they like somebody who's compromised like him, right? His sons makes him totally compromised. What he did in Ukraine makes him compromised. What he did in China makes him compromised. I'm sure they got him on a number of things. They're able to manipulate him. But also, he just can't even function. He can't even put up a fight. So he's perfect. Kamala Harris could potentially try to interfere. Nobody tells me what to do. I'm the president. You can imagine that happening. I don't think they want her in there because they don't want some sassy, somebody who thinks that they have, they don't want to get her too big of a head where they think that she's actually running the country. So it's better for them to keep Biden in as long as they possibly can. But here's the thing. Who did he appoint as the Secretary of the Treasury? Janet Yellen. Janet Yellen used to be the head of the Federal Reserve Bank. So Janet Yellen is she is connected to the Clintons because she used to work with the Clinton administration, Bill Clinton's administration. And she's also connected to all these major banks and all these bigwigs. They all have influence through her into the Biden administration. You shouldn't be bringing in Federal Reserve chair people into your administration as the treasurer. They did this once before, I think, during the Jimmy Carter's administration. I looked it up. There was one other Federal Reserve chair that became a treasurer, and it was under Jimmy Carter. But you shouldn't have that. Shouldn't be happening. We shouldn't be mixing up. It's always Democrats. Democrats don't care about neutrality. They don't care about the rules. They don't even care about they care about the appearance of neutrality, but they don't actually care about actual neutrality or doing the right thing. They just care about getting what they want done at all costs. Anyway, so again, not a particularly sexy story, not a particularly exciting story, but something I thought you guys should hear about. Now we're going to get into the last story of the day, which I think is actually quite a lot of fun. Valeria, would you like to read the headline?
Yeah, Sesame Street to educate children on racial literacy. That's your favorite subject, Chris?
Sesame Street.
Sesame Street.
Is that how they say it in Russia?
We say Sesame Street.
Oh, Sesame Street.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, it's Sesame Street here.
Sesame.
Sesame. Yeah.
Did I say Sesame?
Sesame Street. I don't know. Yeah, Sesame Street. Yeah, so Sesame Street apparently wants to add...
Sorry.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, right? The goatee is ridiculous. I mean, just come on, guys. Anyway, Sesame Street adds 2 new Muppets. Toxic Masculinity. Weekdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.